and this roster is heavily rumored to be the new Mouse Sports roster, even though I don't know who Stand Fate is. I looked up his tag, and I guess his name is just Fate, which is a player I've never heard of in the European scene. So I don't know if he's standing in for somebody like Rise, because I know Link and Ace and Crit, well, Ace and Crit at the very least were on 3D Max together, and I know these guys played on DD, so I don't know if this is going to be Rise or something. But if this is the new Mouse Sports team, and considering it does have the Mouse Sports tag still on, and because the D2L announcement was just made today that Mouse Sports is invited to the regular season format at the very least,
Radiant team
then it's interesting to see that Siren is actually not going to be the captain, and that means he might take a different role. He might not be playing as a support, and to be quite honest, his role as support in the TI3 group stages were just simply not that impressive. He was always out of position, and even though it might have had a lack of practice, still, I don't know if Sinner necessarily has the right instincts or positional requirements if he wants to have such good drafts and still captain the team. And captaining the team while also playing the most important role in the early game is gotta be a bit difficult, I've gotta say. So it might be a bit of a change up. Sinrin might go back into the drafter's chair. He might still be as support, but I'm not too sure at this point. Anyways, EG, as you all know, well, most of you know, they switched rosters. They dropped Demon as well as Beatiz. They picked up Fogged from Dignitas. They picked up MSS as a free agent, and they picked up Universe from Dignitas. And who they get rid of? They got rid of Bambo, Demon, and Beatiz. So this roster is designed to work super hard, and this roster definitely has a lot of talent. I think its only weakness is that sometimes Jo is not super consistent, and to be quite honest, from what I've seen as Fogged as support, he hasn't really shown... Well, I mean, Fogged is an awesome guy. I met him in real life. But I just liked him playing the mid-role a bit more. What more can I say? But he's been playing support for quite a long time now, ever since Dignitas where he picked up Snaking. So we'll have to see if he can adapt. I know that Fear is now back as a support role, so the two main supports are Fear as well as Fog. Jo is playing the hard carry, MSS is the mid lane, and Universe is the off lane. And with the core of Fear as well as Universe, then that's a solid core to have on your side, because Universe and Fear are very much regarded in the North American scene as two of the best players in the North American region. So, Pix and Man's going underway. Life gonna ban out the Troll Warlord with their first ban. EG gonna get rid of the OD as well as Chen. It's interesting to see that Chen is gonna be banned in the opening phase, because sometimes you can sort of take advantage of Chen by picking up a greedier farmer, but may they have some respect for the Chen player on the side of Life, either that's Sinrin or not. But EG probably gonna get the Batrider here. If they don't get Batrider, I'd be very surprised. The only reason they wouldn't get Batrider is to try to get Universe's Darkseer, and I think Universe has top 3 Darkseer in the world. His Darkseer is absolutely ridiculous. And I remember reading a comment once on Reddit or Liquid or something saying that Universe practiced like 3 or 4 games of Darkseer every day. And if that's the case, it's no wonder why his Darkseer is absolutely phenomenal. So that's the only reason why EG wouldn't pick up Barrett with their opening choice. But other than that, it's gotta be a Barrett opening.
Reserve time.
So since Barrett is a 100% pick ban rate, there's a lot of... Well, there's not really a lot of ways to deal with them, but there are some sort of pseudo counters. And if you watch the balanced discussion that I did with Shredkid like a month ago about Barrier as well as Witch Doctor, Barrier being too powerful, Witch Doctor not being that powerful, then one of SK's best answers to Barrier was just Naga, because he can hold a Barrier in place with the net, and also if Barrier initiates with the lasso, and even if he has a 4-staff, then you can drop a Song. And since Song has such a ridiculous range, then there's really not too much follow-up damage, and that can mean the lasso target will be saved for the most part. And, well, EG is probably debating that, but they're going to pick up ET with their first choice. Really interesting decision to get Elder Titan, as he is obviously a ridiculous teamfight presence. He can hold his own in all lanes, but compared with the versatility of somebody like Batrider or the Naga, I don't know, maybe EG thought if they picked up the Batrider, then Life would definitely pick up the Naga, and now Life might have to rechange their game plan. Of course, they could very well pick up Batrider as well as Naga, and I think Naga would be a decent choice against ET, because you can just cast Asleep and bail yourself out of a team fight if it's going wrong. So I fully expect Life to get themselves at least Naga Siren with one of these 2 picks, and it wouldn't make much sense if they left Barret still left in the pool, with EG already having the first pick and picking up ET. So ET, very strong team fight presence, as there's the Naga Siren pick I was looking for. Now all we need is that Barret choice, and my predictions would be on the ball for once. But ET holds his own in most lanes. The only problem in the middle lane is that against some heroes, because the Ancestral Spirit brings all the creeps down to low HP but doesn't kill any of them, not even the range creep at its max level, then oftentimes he can have a bit of problems getting himself denied. But I guess that's why EG banned out the OD, so they would get rid of that problem at the very onset. So we're gonna have to see. But another thing that's a bit annoying for ET, well, I just realized Life not many even pick up the Barret because there's Darkseer stuffed in the pool, and that's actually a really clever banning by EG, as Barret and Darkseer left in the pool. So EG, if I had to guess, they're going to pick up the Darkseer just because he synergizes so damn well with ET, because you want to have that vacuum combination and then the Earth Split to really get them into position, but there's the Barret choice, and now Darkseer might not even be a good option for EG anymore, because then they wouldn't have the lane. So I guess they want to have a bit more secure of initiation rather than going for that all-out wombo combo teamfight presence. Now, I'm not too sure why Life decided to pick up the Clockwork. Maybe they felt like if they picked up the Barret or the Darkseer, then EG would make great usage of the other hero. But Clockwork has been receiving a lot more attention in the early phases, and a lot of people are putting him mid a bit more often, and actually MSS has a ridiculous Clockwork. But I personally don't think he's first round material, because it seems to me that once you reach the mid to late stages of the game, his effectiveness just drops off by a ridiculous amount, because he doesn't do damage in the late stages of the game. He's only good for a bit of crowd control. So if you pick up a Clockwork, it seems like, to me at the very least, that you're pretty much hoping that you can stop for the late game, and Clockwork wouldn't be even a factor, or you're hoping to win the game in the first 20 minutes or so. But that's just my opinion. I mean, Cogs and Hook, having that ridiculous long range initiation of Hookshot with that 2-second stun is always going to be good, and having the range of Cogs, or having the 8-second Cogs restricting the movement of whoever he hooks into, is also pretty useful.
5 seconds remaining.
So now Life,
Reserve time.
EG on the Radiant, so they could feasibly put Elder Titan in the offlane, since Ancestral Spirit does block off creep camps, and that could prevent the pull. And ET does do decently in the offlane. Of course, Barret, as you all know, can go into any lane and be reasonably successful. The only reason why I think lanes are an issue is whether Life would ban out the Darkseer or not, because if they let EG get Elder Titan as well as Darkseer and Barret, then I think EG pretty much have every team fight wrapped up as long as Silent Siren is on cooldown. So I don't know. They could put ET in the offlane, Barret in the mid lane, Darkseer in the jungle, but I don't think that's the case. I think their EG are just going to skip Darkseer altogether in this game and then put Barret in the offlane, ET in the middle lane, and then pick up a safe tri-lane. Meow Life decided to ban out the Rubik. Interesting decision, but it makes sense, because if you steal Song, then that can pretty much set up an initiation for Elder Titan for free. And Rubik, since he himself has good range on his spell steal, doesn't really have to be exposed too much. And since, well, if you steal Song and allow Elder Titan to set up, then you're going to lose every single team fight. But as it is, it's going to be very difficult for Team Life to actually get a successful initiation. Most likely they're going to be the brunt of the counter initiation, but against a Barret, once he picks up Force Staff, it just becomes a lot more tricky.
Dire team pick.
Interesting enough, Life decided to ban out the Abaddon, who is known to do pretty well against Barret, because a Fog Shield, of course, does dispel the Flaming Lasso, and Life are going to pick up the Weaver. Weaver, a very, very stable carry, as you can go in the offlane, you can be a safe lane farmer, you can do alright against Elder Titan, because of course you can just time-lapse the Earth Splitter damage. He does pretty well against Barret when he picks up his Lincolns, until Bat picks up the Force Staff. So Weaver is a pretty solid option in this case. It's definitely the safest carry that Life could have picked up at this situation, because if they manage to acquire a Lifestealer, then Barret or Lasso, of course, still does go through that rage. So EG banned out the Timbersaw. Again, Clockwork's lane position at this point is still up in the air. He could go in the off lane, he could go in the mid lane. EG gonna get themselves on Luna, so an interesting decision. Jo has played Luna a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot, because I've seen him play Luna more than any other carry player these days. And, well, since Luna's not really the most con pick, well, that means I'm going to see more Jail Luna games than most. But Luna, very interesting hero. A bit annoying is that she doesn't do particularly against Clockwork, especially once Clockwork picks up the Blade Mail. Because although the Lucent Beams can focus down Clockwork, Luna is so squishy that if her movement is restricted in any way, then the follow-up damage from a Mirana arrow or the Weaver could prove to be deadly. Still, that relies on the fact that Clockwork actually will get the initiation, but Life picked up the Mirana here. And now I'm not too sure what Mirana's role will be here. Mainly Mirana has gone complete out of style because she doesn't ball crow exceptionally well. Offlane Mirana, well, Navi runs it, but they run it on the Radiant side and Life are on the Dire side. And Tri-Lane support Mirana, I mean, it could be a Tri-Lane farmer Mirana, but that's only when Alliance do it. They run as an aggressive Tri-Lane with a setup like Shadow Demon. So I'm not too sure what Mirana would be in this case. It's really, really tricky. I think at this point it might be a support Mirana, but still, that's just my guess. You know, EG gonna get themselves a Bane Elemental, so it seems like they have all intentions of running a very safe Tri-Lane, as Bane is not the best aggressive Tri-Lane hero unless he's paired with something like a Gyrocopter. Luna just simply doesn't have the immense burst damage, although her burst damage is pretty impressive nonetheless. So I think this will be a defensive Tri-Lane by EG. They're gonna put ET in the mid lane, put Baron in the off lane. Meow Life, again, their lanes are a bit more unclear, but if I had to hazard a guess, it would be Clockwork off lane, Weaver, Mirana, Naga safe lane, or they could potentially aggressive Tri-Lane. I don't know what Life are going to do with their lanes, but their draft is really, really interesting. The only problem I see is that none of these heroes do that much damage until later on, and that's only these two heroes in particular. Clockwork does do a respectable amount of damage, but if you sacrifice in the off lane, then he won't get those damaging levels online until these guys manage to tank up, and then will likely have an Ogre Club before Clockwork even hits, you know, the appropriate level where he wants to actually fight in team fights. And Bane is not the squishiest support. He has some very nice stat growth, and of course Brain Staff gives him a nice amount of effective HP. So I'm a bit worried about the damage from Life. Meanwhile, EG have a really strong team fight presence. They have a really good initiation. They have a reliable hard carry. So far I'm liking EG's draft a lot more.
Reserve time.
Life clearly anticipating the defensive lane and knowing that Bane does need support levels. Gonna get rid of the Enchantress, so if Bane does have to get levels, then he's gonna have to dual pool with his supports or just roam very heavily. And EG gonna get rid of the Keeper of the Light, may sense an aggressive Tri-Lane, and if that's the case, well, Life gonna be SOL for a bit, but there's the Crystal Main, so it is gonna be an aggressive Tri-Lane, and that means it's gonna be Weaver safe lane for the Dire, Tri-Lane, Mirana, Crystal Main, Naga, Clockwork mid lane, or put Weaver in the mid lane. Although ET versus Clockwork, I think can go okay for Clockwork. So EG now are probably looking to get a support that can initiate or do a lot to dissuade the aggressive nature of Life's aggressive Tri-Lane. And now Fogged has a really strong Jakiro, but speak of the devil, I talked about him earlier, but gonna pick up one of the better defense supports in the form of Witch Doctor. And well, I did a balance discussion about Witch Doctor as well as Power Rider, and one of the problems is that Witch Doctor is so damn squishy, and he's purely only viable in defensive Tri-Lane versus Tri-Lane scenarios, I think. But we're going to have to see how he fares in this game. Life have some maneuverability, so they can potentially juke out of the cast because they have range, and that means the cast might not bounce. They have maneuverability to escape from Maledict situations if the cast does go off. And well, I'm not too sure if Time-Lapse actually dispels Maledict. I know Aphotic Shield does. I played a pub game where my team had a Witch Doctor, Venomancer, and a Viper, I think. And well, Aphotic Shield just made our lives very, very difficult. But anyway, introducing the players' teams on the side of EG, we're going to have Fear playing the Bane, Fogged is playing the Witch Doctor, Jo is playing Luna, MSS is going to be playing the Bat Rider, and Universe is playing the Elder Titan. So with the MSS playing the Bat Rider, that means it's going to be a mid lane Bat Rider, and he looks like he's rushing the ball. No, looks like it's going to be an off lane Bat Rider. Usually MSS does play the mid lane, but because Universe is so much more accustomed to the off lane, but I guess How are EG gonna lane
30
this? Because this is
seconds
a
to
fast
go.
ball rush, but Barretter can fast ball rush in the jungle, but actually looks like he's gonna go back in the mid lane. ET is gonna go in the off lane, and in this solo 1v1 matchup, ET versus Weaver should do alright. Me on the side of Life, we're gonna have Fate playing the Crystal Main, Link is playing the Weaver, Ace is playing the Mirana, Sinrin's playing the Clockwork, and Crit is playing the Naga Siren.
The battle
So Weaver
begins.
gonna go to the safe lane, Clockwork is gonna play the mid lane like I predicted. And was he pulled anything? No. Sinrin, were you pulled anything? Nope. Both heroes rushing a fast bottle. Barretter versus Clockwork is very annoying for Clockwork, but Clockwork can, survive. He has cogs, and Firefly can't bypass cogs. At least I'm pretty sure I can't. I don't know, I'm mad forgetful, but I'm pretty sure with my Barretter and Clockwork man crushes, I'd be able to recognize that fact at the very least. Still, Sinrin, you can see he's already spent some of his initial starting gold to pick up a magic stick, so he's going to get that point to rocket and then rely on those stacks of sticky napalm to fuel his magic stick and then spam the rocket as best he possibly can. Meanwhile, Witch Doctor, one of his best attributes is that he does have ridiculous space damage, and with Enfeeble coming in, that's going to reduce the damage output of this Shrine even more. So this Shrine, it's designed to shut down Luna since Mirana isn't the best hard carry. I don't know if it's necessarily the best killing Shrine unless somebody gets caught severely out of position, but with the Witch Doctor on your side, having the casks and having Bane, two of the most defensive supports in the game, that's going to make killing even more difficult. So this Shrine, if its objective is to shut down Luna, well, they're already getting off to a bad start. You can see Luna on top of the creep stats already. MSS leading the creep chart, and Sinrin's not expected to win this lane. He's just supposed to not die and get whatever experience he can possibly get, as he is going to pop the cogs here. Nice usage of the cogs, but now he's trapped by his own creep. He's going to get the deny off, but he's going to be forced to use his tank on. He's still 200 gold away from finishing his bottle, so this lane is going to be very, very problematic for Sinrin. He picked up the rocket, so now he's only about 3 to 4 creeps away from finishing that bottle. So once he gets that, the lane will get a little bit easier. Still, it's not the best situation for Sinrin to be in. Barret's going to get absolute free farm as Jayo is going to find himself struck by an arrow. Nightmare is going to go down, but Cask is still on cooldown. And Crystal Main obviously does not want to approach too much because her Frostbite was on cooldown and she was at 150 HP. So a bit of spells thrown out here and there, but so far I think EG are getting the better of because Luna is not being dissuaded to farm, and meanwhile Ace, well, Enfeeble, Mirana doesn't have the best space damage to begin with, and Enfeeble just makes it even more difficult. So it looks like Crit as well as Ace are going to distribute the farm somewhat evenly. On the offlane, I haven't talked about this matchup, and I don't think I really need to talk about this matchup. Universe interesting enough picked up an early ring of Basilius, so I guess wants to have a bit of armor against the Gemini attack and also have that nice bit of passive mana regeneration because he knows Barret will likely bottle Crow at every opportunity since there is an aggressive Shrine that can camp this bottom rune. So having that extra bit of passive regeneration gonna be very useful, but now he doesn't have enough mana to cast Ancestral Spirit, and Link should eventually take control of this lane. Me on the bot lane, first blood does happen, and I miss it because I'm bad. Looks like they initiated on Fogged, and well, Fog never really stood a chance in hell. Arrow does a lot of damage in the early game, even at level 1, so just the net combined with a lot of lockdown means that Fogged will die, but it's not the worst situation in the world for EG since Jayo is still alive, and Witch Doctor, well, he's probably going to die a lot in this game, so Fogged is just going to have to get used to getting sent back to base over and over. Mid lane looks like Sinrin's caught up to a reasonable degree, as top lane, thought Link was going to go in on the Elder Titan, and Weaver, you can see, is starting to get a bit back in the lane count now that Universe doesn't have nearly enough mana to spam the Ancestral Spirit. But now, I think, yeah, that is the bottle, so Universe should take control of the lane once again. Link gonna pick up the Phase Boots, so it's gonna follow that Eternal Envy build. And I guess the rationale behind Phase Boots is not only getting that extra bit of mobility out of Shukuchi, but also, well, Sinrin's gonna take a bit of Firefly damage, and on the bottom lane, anything happen? No. Sinrin actually juked down rather than up. I don't know why he didn't run just straight back to the tower, but he's gonna pop the Barrier Assault and pop his Magic Stick, and we'll be A-okay. You know, on the bottom lane, Crit's gonna come in. He's in a lot of trouble. One more hit will spell his end, but Ace is gonna come in. They will pick off Jet with an arrow. Nice re-engagement as they killed the carry, and that is definitely something that was very necessary for Team Life to get themselves in contention, because right now mid lane is definitely being lost, but that was a matchup that shouldn't have been lost. And their bottom lane, again, all it's designed for is to shut down Luna, and so far Luna has 14 CS, so good job by Jo. Again, the high base move speed of Luna goes a long way in terms of helping him to secure these last hits. But yeah, back to the Weaver. Link gonna go for the phase boots, and having that extra bit of damage with jamming attack in the early game does mean quite a bit, as Fog gonna find himself net arrow fall through, and this is why you don't see Witch Doctor, because once you cast the Cask in the early game, well, you're sitting duck, and Cask has a pretty long cooldown. I mean, 18 seconds at level 2, that's definitely not something you can spam too freely. You know, I'm pretty impressed that Cernun's holding his own against Baron in the middle lane, and I think with the melee creep experience advantage, Cernun should be on equal footing with MSS, and actually MSS is losing by a little bit. I think that's mostly because he's been going for the runes a bit more. But MSS should still be able to pick up his Blink Dagger. He's going to likely finish the Magic Wand, maybe get a TP Skull, and then go for that Blink Dagger. You know, Ace 11-2, setting up shop on the bottom lane, trying to look for engagement as Weaver's bottle crowing. There's nothing much to be said there. So far, I mean, this tri-lane is doing okay. It's picked up 3 kills. Yeah, it's picked up 3 kills, and it's only lost 1. But I can't help be concerned, because even though these tri-lane is shutting down the supports in terms of them not pulling, well, speaking of which, Fear gonna roam in with the Nightmare. Fortunately for Fate, Fear does not boost speed, but Fate is just going to be caught a little bit off guard. The net's going to come in, it's going to land square on Fear's face, and Fear is going to die. It's going to be a trade thus far, as Fogged, he's already used the Cask, and that means he's going to be a little bit out of commission, but the massive base damage by Witch Doctor will allow him to come in for a little bit. Ace does have Leap, and he should be able to escape just fine. So nice 2-for-1 for EG, as I'm not too sure why Crystalmane and Naga were there. I guess they want to replant this ward, but now EG, not only did they pick up 2 kills, but they know there was a ward there, because there would be no other reason why both Crystalmane and Naga would be caught so far out of position. You know, that's going to give EG supports a nice boost of experience. Fear took a little bit of a worse beating in that regard, because he was the first one on EG to die, but Witch Doctor, now level 4, has not yet scaled his 4th point. I don't know if he's scaled a point to stats, or if he's holding on, if he needs an extra point to Voodoo Restoration or Maledict. But, I mean, Maledict is just such a not useful spell until you manage to get level 3. Still, having any bit of offensive firepower does help to make the difference, especially when the HP pools are so low. You know, Barretter, now with the Wand Finish, is going to rush that Blink Dagger, and at this rate, he should pick it up by the 9-10 minute mark, as, ooh, Ace could have been in a bit of trouble. Fate's going to come in, and that's a huge amount of nuke damage, and that's why Witch Doctor was approaching so aggressively. Meanwhile, Universe was driven away, as he's going to pick up the phase boots himself. Weaver's going to do some safe lane farm, but you can see Universe is going to come in, and he intends to bring some pain to the tri-lane, but he doesn't yet have his ultimate, nor does he have his stomp. He's just going to rely on his physical attacks with the Ancestral Spirit, as well as his high movement speed to just beat down the other squad, Team Life. Meanwhile, Cernun has not yet left the middle lane, has picked up Invisibility, but now you can see the creep deficit really starting to tick in, because once Barrier hits level 6, then Cernun can't really do the cheeky Cox shenanigans anymore, and you can see his CS has taken quite a beating as a result. So this has become a lot more difficult for Cernun, and this is why you don't really see that main mid lane Clockworks, because at a certain point, Clockwork will lose the mid lane matchup pretty severely.
Rock it on.
You know, Universe revealed himself, probably going to pick up a teleport scroll because he knows he couldn't accomplish too much. At the very least, he was able to buy Luna a bit of free farm earn, but now he's going to be forced to defend his tower, and he will do just that. Picked up the phase boots, probably going to go for a Drone Field, as Link is going to use the time lapse. Link likely going to get the Lincoln Sphere against a Bane, as well as a Barret. Having Lincoln Sphere will be useful, even though, again, Force Staff will break it and Feeble will break it. Still, having it will be nice on the list, and Link has got to be careful because his time is on cooldown for quite a bit. Meanwhile, Clockwork has now made his way down towards bot lane, has an invisibility rune, and the Radiant don't have any detection. That is a dire sentry ward, but the Radiant seem to know something's up because, well, they had an observe ward themselves, and now they know Syndrane's missing from the middle lane. So, well, fogged. Nice knowing you, bro. As the arrow is going to pick up the snipe kill, but here comes MSS, going to fly overhead, trying to desperately pick up whatever targets he can, but the only problem is that Naga has some really high base movement speed naturally. So overall, that was a pretty big win because they forced MSS to rotate in, and that could have been a fast blink dagger. Now with Firefly wearing down, again, this is a very high level of Firefly. Usually you don't see it such a high level at this early stage, but that damage definitely is quite respectable. As the Lucent Blessing going to be used, Syndrane barely just going to escape by the skin of his teeth. Picked up a belt in case he was going to die, but so far the engagement went very well for Team Life as they were able to pick up a kill, and they forced rotation by MSS. But now MSS, 500 gold, and then the Blink Dagger ganks start coming, and that's when life will get a lot more difficult for Team Life without the Naga Siren ultimate. Although crit, very close to that level 6, so that day, the day of Barret or Blink Dagger might not be such a doomsday scenario for Team Life because Naga is so close to hitting that level 6. Meanwhile, Luna is still far away. Impressive feat by Jo, has managed to pick up 2 kills and has only died once against a decent aggressive Trine. Not the most damaging aggressive Trine, but a pretty survivable aggressive Trine since 2 heroes have pretty good range, and the 1 melee hero that is in the aggressive Trine has some nice base armor as well as some naturally high base movement speed. So this Trine, it doesn't do the most damage, but it has some good setups and is somewhat surprisingly annoying to kill. Still, I think overall EG have a slight advantage, although with Weaver free farming and not being stopped. Actually, I think the advantage is pretty much even because Weaver has not been stopped by any means. You know, Ace now with the phase boots doesn't care nearly as much about Impale, and with 3 kills under his belt, going to be a bit happier, as that is going to go a long way in terms of making up some of his abysmal CS's. Ace, well, here comes the Nightmare, but it does disjoint the cask, and we'll see if the squad of, well, here comes the arrow as it flies on Fog, but Saints Eclipse, or just Eclipse will be popped. It's going to be a 1-for-1 thus far, as are they going to actually go back in for Jo, as here comes Syndrane. He will be able to trap Fear, and Fear is going to be more than happy to trade his life with the rotation by the Clockwork. Clockwork still has the hook online. Will he go for a blind hook? No, Jo is just going to get the heck out of there. Nice maneuver. And all the while, Barret now has the Blink Dagger. So still, a good engagement by Team Life, 2-for-1. But unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up a carry. And now MSS, well, Link is just going to get the heck out of there. I think he saw a rotation. No, he's going to bottle up and get himself right back in there. As he's going to do some chip damage, but Barret is waiting in the shadows, and there is no time lapse, so he's got to be very, very careful. But you can see Crit already making his way. He knows MSS is planning something, as smoke is going to be dispelled. MSS now has been found out. I don't think the Blink Dagger has yet been revealed, but MSS, that smoke gank and a lot of time was wasted, and there wasn't really anything you could do to prevent that. Just good awareness by Team Life, recognizing that Barret would probably have the Blink Dagger at that point, and moving their heroes appropriately to combat that influence.
Shadows, take us.
You know, Team Life gonna pop a Moonlight Shadow. Not too sure what they're aiming for here, as I guess they're gonna go for a gank on ET, but EG seem to know something's up, as Ace trying to get in position. Will he engage upon Fog as, well, Starfall initiation, but there goes the arrow. It's going to whiff quite badly. Ace still has leap to get himself out of trouble, but all the while, there was an initiation by Syndrane, used hook shot as well as a haste rune, and picked up a kill. We'll just rewind a little bit. So, Universe netted. Obviously, couldn't see anybody because there was Moonlight Shadow, and Universe honestly couldn't do anything. Poor guy. So Team Life had some nice movement, but still, in the match between Luna and Weaver in the late game, I do have to favor Luna ever so slightly because she does more AoE damage, and there has not yet been a team fight, but Witch Doctor is a pretty strong team fight hero. But here comes the initiation by MSS. They are going to pick up a kill on Ace as they pincered him. Death Ward was even applied as Jo picks up a dominating streak, and that is going to be very, very slow. He's going to finish his helm with the Dominator relatively soon and probably start going for some ancient stacks. Meanwhile, checking out the early game gold deficit, it's slightly in favor of Team Life. Experience also slightly in favor, and this game is definitely a bit more close because Barrett dominated mid lane so hard. But Cernan has made some nice rotations. All of his rotations have resulted in a kill, I do believe. So not much more you can ask for a Clockwork. The question is, what build will he go for? He picked up a Bracer, but will he go for the Blade Mail or will he go for something like a Mecha? As well, I'm not too sure, but Team Life will definitely need a mecha because in the mid to late stages of the game, again, the team fight presence that EG has is just absolutely terrifying. Earth Splitter with the Death Ward, with the Eclipse, is just going to make Team Life's life a living hell. So they're definitely going to need a mecha, probably going to need a pipe as well, and Mirana's not going to pick up either of those. Crystal Maid's not going to pick any of those. Naga has no farm whatsoever. Weaver can't really go for those because he has to do damage, so Synderen is going to have to get some useful utility items, and that means he's going to need a lot more gold.
Rock it on.
Meanwhile, Link getting close to the Ultimate Orb. Picked up a lot of accessories, I guess, before instead of straight rushing against, which he sort of had to because Elder Titan's very annoying to deal with in lane because he has a spammable, damaging nuke, and he needed all that utility. He needed the bottle, he needed the wand to stay in lane. But that does mean his link hits will be delayed by a significant margin. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Synderen could be in a bit of trouble as MSS does not have the last, has invisibility rune, but looks like they weren't able to get the appropriate positioning. I don't know if they want to go for Fiend Script gank, but maybe they're calculating Synderen's HP because Clockwork is an annoyingly difficult hero to gank, and with 15 wand charges, unless they manage to get a perfect chain stun, Clockwork would have likely lived.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
You know, Jo still continuing to farm up, but you can see the rate of farm has slowed down significantly because now Mirana has actually caught up to Jo. Still, Jo has picked up 4 kills, has done with Dominator, and now can actually start stacking Ancients. You know, if you check out the levels, every hero is level 6, that means Song of Siren is online, but it seems like EG have been able to take a little bit of an experience advantage for the most part because of the successful kills, but here comes Fate. Smoked Up is going to spot out Fear, and Fear with the Fiend's Grip, well, he's going to be a little bit out of luck for now because now Link does know that the Bane is here. Look at these guys dancing around the here comes the rocket to initiate, but looks like Fate wasn't yet prepared. They don't want to initiate unless they can for sure pick up a kill because they know the power of Fiend's Grip. As Link, he's going to have to be careful, is going to be able to escape. Here comes the lasso, but Moonlight Shadow was applied. Here comes the counter initiation onto MSS, but I think Synderen could be in a lot of trouble. He might end up dying for this. No, he's going to pop the magic wand and just barely escape all the while on the bottom lane. Jo and Ace were duking out, but it seems like Jo was just barely able to escape. Again, Mirana, not the most damaging hero, and against an Eclipse Luna, well, that's definitely not the engagement that you're hoping for. So EG has definitely managed to claw themselves back in the game. The annoying thing for EG is that they still haven't found a way to shut down Link, and this Weaver is getting very close, has the Ultimate Orb, and that means he's only about 1800 gold away from finishing the Linked Sphere. So that is definitely something for EG to keep an eye on, but it's good that they're giving Fogged a bit of room to get some experience, as I don't know if he's saving his skill points in Malect or he's getting a lot of stats. Oh, he put a lot of points into stats. So, pretty interesting build. I always felt like Maledict is a good skill, but it's a little bit too overrated because it has such a short range, and in the early levels it does essentially nothing. So getting those points into stats, making sure that Witch Doctor is not just a piece of paper, going to be very slow, especially against the aggressive maneuvers that Life has been making themselves known to do on the bottom lane. You know, Synderen has a cloak, not yet revealing if he's going to go for Blade Mail or Mech, probably still debating himself, as Luna has not straight up rushed to BKB, so Blade Mail still could be an option. You know, Life can't be too displeased on how the game's going, but they still have to be worried. They aren't shutting down Luna, and, well, The Centaur going to deward the Observer. Nicely done by Fogged, but is now going to be careful. This tower will definitely die as Fogged. Oh, here comes a mass exodus of TPs. There is a Song of Siren to bail him out of trouble, but the cask, was it bouncing? I don't know, but Jo, as well as Fogged, going to be A-OK all the while. Here, gonna get killed off by Clocker, but he's going to trade it for a Batrider. So mid for his support, definitely worth it for EG in the end, as Zacirin will be out of commission for a little bit, and MSS is getting dangerously close to the Force Staff, and once he picks up the Force Staff, that's going to be very, very difficult, but now Universe is going to dive. One more hit of Gem attack, gonna pick up the kill. Nothing that Universe could do there, as he tried to do whatever he could, but eventually Weaver was going to overpower the Elder Titan if Elder Titan stuck in the lane, as long as he did.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
But back to the Force Staff on Batrider. Since Naga Siren has such a long cooldown on the ultimate level 1, once Batrider picks up the Force Staff, he can do pretty much 2 ganks for every Song of Siren, and there's pretty much nothing that Team Life can do about it unless they manage to get a COG counter initiation. As Fate is going to come in, they're going to try to go on MSS, but this might be a bit of a disaster. They're going to get the hook as Batrider is desperately trying to fly overhead. They are going to kill off MSS, so that was very, very necessary as Fate and the Death Ward going to dance, and Fogged, oh, he will pick up the kill just barely. Sinner's going to come back in. Hook is cooling down rapidly, or the Rocket's cooling down rapidly, but he realized the Voodoo Restoration was just a bit too much. Still a Batter for the Crystal Main. Nice trade, and also MSS was so close to finishing the Force Staff. Now he's going to farm for at least 400 gold before he gets that item online. So really good gank by Life. But again, there haven't been any team fights, and I've got to keep thinking, in a team fight versus team fight matchup, EG will crush Life unless Life has a massive advantage, and they're going to need a really farmed Weaver in order to make that advantage happen. You know, Siren's going to go for a Blade Mail. And really, Life does need a mecha or a pipe, because you can't just always say, well, we'll use our maneuverability to get out of teamfights. Eventually, there will be teamfights. And there's going to be teamfights where Song of the Siren is not going to be online, so somebody needs to get a mecha. And if it's not Siren, I don't know who it will be. Meanwhile, we were going to have the Lincolns here finished 20 minutes in, considering that he finished Phase Boots, a bottle, and a stick with a couple teleport scrolls. Not the worst timing. Now with Lincoln Sphere, should be feeling a bit safe, but shouldn't feel too safe as a 5-man smoke ain't gonna come in. I don't know if the Weaver saw the smoke, but he's gonna pick up the invisibility regardless, and I don't think he saw the smoke because he's gonna run right back to the top lane, right into the open arms of Team Life. But nice reactions, as I don't know if that was a bit of a server delay, being European versus North American, but the lasso triggered the Lincolns, and that meant Weaver could escape to safety.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Ace gonna start working towards some damage. Don't know if he's gonna go for some drums. This could just be a casual bracer. I think Diffusal would be a useful option, but it's most likely gonna be a Yasha into Matt to build for the Mirana. And meanwhile, checking out the other heroes on Side of Life, Naga level 8, nothing, because she has no CS, has 5 CS, because she was a support in Aggressive Chine, and that means she won't have anything, unless the Chine managed to overwhelm the other team in kills. Meanwhile, Jo is getting very close to getting a Mytho Hammer, only about 2100 gold away from finishing that BKB, and at that point, Life will be a little bit more hard-pressed to actually engage upon Jo. You know, Universe has finished the drums. Don't know what he's going to go for next. Usually AC is the next appropriate option, or Hex, after Elder Titan's finished all this core, which he has, so wouldn't be too surprising to see if AC was the build. You know, Sinnerin has now finished the Blade Mail, and I think in the end, even though I think Mech would have been more useful, considering that there's not yet a BKB on the side of Team EG, Blade Mail is still a solid option nonetheless. But here comes the Moonlight Chow gank. They're looking to initiate onto Jo. The question is, can they actually engage, as the arrow is going to be perfectly synchronized, but a nice defensive Nightmare. Here comes the hook shot, as Sinnerin going to get... Oh, he couldn't pop the Blade Mail. That was very, very unfortunate, and the Eclipse just ripped through Team Life. You know, Crit gonna teleport away to safety. Again, in these server lags, considering this is a LAN environment, you can't blame Sinnerin too much, but if I were him, I would have preemptively activated the Blade Mail. I don't know if that would have been enough to kill the Luna. Still, it might have been enough to do a significant amount of damage. So a bit of a failed Moonlight Shadow gank. The good thing for Team Life is that we were still firing up, and he's getting very close to actually picking up a damage item. Probably going to be a Desolator, but getting straight into an MKB wouldn't be too out of the ordinary. I don't think he'll need Lincoln's and BKB in this game, because there are still 2 ultimates that go through BKB on the side of EG. You know, Batter with the Force Staff, gonna make his way towards... Well, I don't know if he follows the Bone 7 school of thought of going for Mask of Madness, but in any case, Boots of Travel or BKB would be solid options nonetheless. The annoying thing for Team Life is that Crystal Main's essentially useless at this point. She's just too slow, too squishy, and considering EG has durable heroes outside of the Witch Doctor, Crystal Main really can't stand toe-to-toe with the beasts on the side of EG, especially now that Luna has finished the BKB. Looks like Batter will be able to preserve the tower for now. Link trying to get the last hit. Gem attack will tick in. Nicely done by Link, as having that tower denied, considering the disastrous Moonlight Shadow gank, would have been even worse for Life's morale. And so far this game is relatively even, but I maintain we have yet to see a team fight. The only team fight we saw was on the bottom lane, as they're going to engage upon MSS, but he's just going to force staff himself away to safety. But we have yet to see a single Earth Splitter, and you do kind of pick up ET for his team fight presence. And so far ET, well, he has all his skills maxed. Interesting he didn't pick up at that second point ultimate, but I mean, what does a second point ultimate honestly give you? Gives you 1 extra second of slow. And a bit of extra duration. Or a bit of extra percentage. That's it. So having that extra second of stomp, a bit more useful because it's more of a stun rather than a slow. You know, if I were Team Life, I'd try to get my Naga leveled up, because you know team fights are going to happen eventually, and getting that level 11, having that 60-second reduced cooldown on the ultimate from 180 to 120 is going to be of the utmost importance. Meanwhile, EG, Fear, just Dust, Boots, Bane, doesn't really need that many items, but probably going to make his way towards a 4-staff or a BKB. They're going to initiate, they're going to find the Nightmare onto Crit. Crit doesn't have Song in the Siren, as they're going to pop the Eclipse, they're going to kill off Ace, as well as... No, BKB going to preserve his life for the moment, but Ace still fell nonetheless, as there was a BKB activation. JO used his own BKB, so very nice engagement by EG. Again, their initiation is just very, very strong, and we combine it with their teamfight presence, then it just becomes downright terrifying. And that is going to be an easy tower for the forces of EG.
Middle tower has fallen.
So now if you take a look at the experience graph and gold graph, well, gold will take a huge upswing back towards EG relatively soon. Experience already in EG's advantage, and now JO is farming the ancient stack. This is going to be a lot of farm very quickly, and JO is likely going to finish his Yasha after finishing these. Well, won't be able to pick it up just yet, but I'm going to get dangerously close to getting that Yasha. You know, Weaver only about 550 gold away from finishing the Desolator, but if Weaver's left all by his lonesome, he won't really have what it takes to take on the entire team by himself. As it looks like Life gonna go for Roshan. I don't think they have enough damage to actually kill it, because minus armor from Riptide doesn't apply, and Link doesn't yet have the Desolator finished. This seems very, very greedy, and they're gonna be facing an Earth Splitter. So I don't know why Life are going for this rather than just farming for neutrals. Maybe they felt like they have no other choice, but I think this is a fight that EG can easily win, but looks like they're making no moves to do that. So I guess this is a brilliant move by Team Life. I don't know why EG are not going in for Rosh to contest it, but here comes the teleport. They're going to teleport onto the Ancestral Spirit Batrider. Well, that was clever as the Echo Stomp, but he blinks back away to safety. Cogs dropped by Sinan defensively to help preserve Life's Roshan attempt, and now Life, they've already committed so many resources, they need to finish this off. Sinan is going to be left as a sacrificial lamb as he's stunned. That was very dangerous for Link, as I guess Sinan, did he pop the Blade Mail? No, he didn't. I would have thought Barrett would have blinked back in, but it looks like he was more occupied by lane. Still, that's a very, very fortuitous turn of events for Life. I didn't think they had what it to take down Rosh, especially against an ET, but for some reason, EG didn't want to commit. I don't know why. They had Blink Dagger, 4-step Batrider, and Rosh took about a minute to bring down, so EG had more than enough time to get into position. But now Weaver will have the Desolator finished, now can actually do some decent damage. The question is, what will he go for next? Even with the Lincoln Sphere, his HP pool is not the biggest, and with a Natural Order aura ticking in, that's going to reduce his effective HP even more, because that ignores magic resistance as well as armor. So Weaver could potentially go for Heart, as such we're just going to barely spot out Fate. Going to just catch the Crystal Main on the edge, and all the while Luna's going to farm some Ancients. So this game is going to go back to a bit more of a stable state. Ace with the BKB. At least for life, they have all their core survivability items up on their main heroes, and now they can start actually going for some damage. But looks like life are going to catch out Fogged. No chance whatsoever. They're going to get the stomp off on the crit. They're going to drop the Earth Splitter, and crit is definitely going to die as 35%. Well, see you later. So that's going to be a Naga for a Witch Doctor. Don't know who that favors, but an arrow is going to catch out Fear. Swarm's going to tick in. This should be a Death of Fear. Good hook shot by Sinner, going to catch Universe. He no longer has Earth Splitter. There is a Blade Mail being used as Universe is going to die. The Giant Attack will tick in once again. Jail gonna pop the Eclipse, and unfortunately for Sinner, his Blade Mail was already used, but that didn't matter regardless. Ace trying to desperately get out of there. Can he leap away to safety? Is going to just barely leap, but will MSS chase? Of course he will. He's going to pop the Flame Break. Will pick up one more kill, but now Link is on the hunt trying to catch MSS. He will have the Force Staff. MSS should be okay, and he's actually going to Firefly away to safety. So in the end, Witch Doctor died. Fear and Elder Titan for an Aegis and a Mirana and a Naga. That was... I think that's slightly in EG's favor. Well, I guess it's even, because Elder Titan for Mirana and supports for an Aegis. That was pretty much completely even, but you can see Weaver, even with the Lincoln Sphere, still has to be worried about his HP pool, because since he did go for the phase boots, he won't have that extra 200 HP or 180 HP to fall back upon with the tread, so Weaver's got to be very, very careful on how he approaches the next team fights, because the Aegis will not be respawning for a long time. And you can see for yourself, the experience in Gold Graph still relatively even. Universe did finish a Vlad's before going for that, so getting a bit more aura items, getting, you know, having some nice auras for his teammates plus damage plus armor. And eventually, the additional plus armor AC will mean that his team is going to be very, very well protected against the Weaver physical damage onslaught. And with Mirana repeatedly dying now, that is going to mean her physical damage items are going to be, well, a little bit out of the picture for the moment, as Naga Siren, now level 11, has that level 2 ultimate, and that is very, very necessary for life to win these upcoming engagements. But you can see Crystal Main is just essentially walking around planting wards and doing nothing else, and there's not much Crystal Main can do, because EG has a pretty endurant lineup. Match Style's almost finished on Jo. Batter, now with the gem, can spot out the Weaver's movements and also spot out Moonlight Shadow initiations. Witch Doctor has a Ghost Scepter, and considering life don't have a Diffusal Blade, even though there is a little bit of magical damage, the Witch Doctor should be able to survive to drop off that level 2 Death Ward. And he still has yet to put a point to Maledict. Interesting choice. Getting that stats heavy Witch Doctor and 39 HP is definitely no small feat. You know, Cernan gonna go for an Aghanims. I wish life still picked up a mecha or something. I mean, Cernan, Clockwork isn't the best mecha character because he's always gonna be in the middle of things and likely will be the first one to die in engagements. But I wish somebody got a mecha on the side of Team Life. And it's not like EG has a mecha themselves, but EG don't really have to worry because they know in team fights they will have a massive advantage. So it looks like there's just going to be a bit of a tower trade, tier 1 for tier 1. The question is, do Life want to defend their tier 2? And so far it seems like they are just going to trade. They're going to apply a lot of pressure towards the tier 2, both top and mid. And it seems like EG are going to be the first ones to blink. This tier 2 and mid will definitely survive, as Link is just going to back the heck out of there. You know, Crit seems like he's transitioning to a bit more of a semi-carry utility-based role, and the Death Ward and Flaming Lasso gank onto Crit. Wasn't expecting that, to say the least, and that is going to be the death. I have to wonder, though, if there was enough damage, then Witch Doctor, well, there was still Firefly, but considering 6 stick charges, So Naga Siren, if she just managed to escape the chance stun, could have potentially popped the song and would have been alright. Still, what happens, happens. And that is going to be very annoying for the Naga since she looked like she was working for some damage or some sort of utility-based items, whether it be a mech or something else, but now she's just going to pick up some wards. Link has a BKB as well as a Linken's. I don't necessarily agree with this choice, but I can see where it's coming from, because even though there is, you know, Linken's to protect you from single target, there's still Earth Splitter, there's still Eclipse, there's still Casks, there's still Brain Sap. BKB does make a lot of sense, but I just wish he went for something like a Heart, because having that Heart would have boosted up his HP even more, and I think Linken's will be enough to protect him from disables.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Meanwhile, tier 2 mid was picked up pretty easily by EG, and now Jail likely going to work his way towards a Butterfly or a Satanic. Meanwhile, Mouz are starting to get a bit restricting their movements, and this is the problem that facing a foreign Barret. And this Barret, level 16, that means his ultimate is up every 50 seconds with incredible maneuverability items, and a gem means that these heroes are always going to be in danger. And that's going to give EG a lot of room to farm up. Witch Doctor picked up a Ghost Scepter, like I mentioned, Bane picked up a Ghost Scepter. Crystalmane's picked up a Sange, gonna go for that Heaven's Halberd, but she is gonna be ages away from finishing that. Meanwhile, Link probably gonna pick up additional damage item after this BKB, likely gonna go for an MKB himself. Meanwhile, Mirana picks up a Demon Edge, gonna go for an MKB herself. Interestingly enough, decided to go for raw damage rather than going for a bit more attack speed utility items like a Manta. Or a Maelstrom, I guess. But getting that raw damage definitely going to be useful, because now you have to actually respect Mirana's cycle click, which usually you don't have to respect until the 30-minute mark ticks in. Meanwhile, EG, I mean, this is just smart Dota. They know they win team fights, and they know life doesn't have the best split push. They have a Weaver and a Mirana. Their split push is not that scary, so they're just going to group up, say, what are you going to do about this? And life so far have not deigned to even attempt to counter a team fight, as Moonlight Shadow will be used, but Barret does have the gem. Fear is going to take a bit of right click damage. The Central Ward will be dropped. They're going to initiate on the Fear. Fear will be the first one to die, but here comes the follow-up initiation. Going to get a 3-man stomp. Here comes the Eclipse, as the gem is going to take an Earth Splitter will now be cast. They're going to get the Weaver and Clockwork. Well, we hardly knew he. Ace going to be the last man standing, but he too will die to the strength of that voodoo magic. And this is what happens when your lineup just doesn't do anything in teamfights compared to EG. The unfortunate thing for EG is that they did use all of their ultimates, so they might not have what it takes to bring down the tier 3, but considering Weaver is out of commission and he won't have buyback for the 20 seconds, he's just going to have to rely on his natural gold intake, but that is going to give EG enough time to finish off the top barracks, and that is just very, very unfortunate, as Fear is more than happy to die, but he's a single target hero, and with Fogged in the background channeling the Death Ward, the Eclipse, Earth Splitter, Lasso, there was just really not too much Team Life could do. You know, MSS 3,900 gold in the bank, not too sure what he's going to go for now, as, well, he could pick up anything. If I had to guess, it would be Shiva's, but I have no idea. Butterfly's finished on JO, AC. Well, he looks like Elder Titan's going to go for the Shivas rather than AC. So, that's something else. Gem now on the Witch Doctor. It was Crit's Gem, now it's Fogg's. Bane going to go for BKB himself. Meanwhile, life side progression has slowed to a crawl. Sinner had to buy back. And you can see Clockwork just simply doesn't do anything in the late game. I think Clockwork is a very useful hero, but picking up in the opening 2 heroes, well, let's see, have a lineup devoted to ganking, which I guess Team Life did have to a certain extent. Then I think Clockwork just fades out way too quickly. But now Roshan's up. I think this time EG will be more than happy to fight it, because now they have a massive item advantage, a massive gold, as well as an experience advantage. But they're going to have to be quick about it, because Link has a Deso, which he didn't previously have, and that is going to mean Roshan will die a bit more quickly than anticipated.
Our thing.
Looks like EG going to ignore it for the moment. They're going to instead focus their attention on tier 2. I think they know, even against a double life Weaver, they will have a massive advantage in teamfights regardless. And they're going to just siege the tier 2. They should be able to pick up, but here comes a hook shot. Really nice hook shot initiation by Ciderin, but here comes a Death Ward just going to rip through Ciderin super quickly. Meanwhile, Link is going to be trapped in the BKB, trying to do whatever he can, but he's just taking too much damage. Going to pop the time lapse. Weaver does kill off the Bane, but Earth Splitter just going to come in, just does way too much. Wait for the BKB on the Marauder to end. Jo will be caught freezing field, doing a lot of damage, but not nearly enough. And, well, this is why EG didn't care about contesting Rosh, because Gem, double life Weaver, simply didn't do anything. Weaver's going to buy back, but this is a Pyrrhic buyback, considering none of the rest of the team have buyback. Naga couldn't even pop the ultimate, and this is sort of the problem when you deal with a super initiation based team. If you only have one way to stop it, I mean, Clockwork is decent, but if you use that spell to counter initiate, then Naga, if she's focused, then there goes a lot of your fallback plan. And so far, unfortunately for Crit, she simply just could not get those counter initiation songs off. Meanwhile, Luna doing what she does best, hitting buildings, hitting people, hitting everything. And EG, are they just going to back off of this? No, Lasso is going to grab Crit. And the question is, there's going to be enough damage, as Crit does have a song. Is there enough damage? They will be able to get off the song just barely. And this should be a death of Universe. The question is, who are they going to try to focus down next? My money is on Fogged, since he's a bit more squishy, but here comes the Death Ward once again, and now look at it go! Aghanim, Scepter, Witch Doctor, MLG, no-scoping, fucking Skrillex Reptile in this bitch. Too much damage, but in the end, just wasn't enough. Still, EG forced many buybacks. They themselves did not buy back anybody. And now Luna's Satanic. This is looking grimmer and grimmer by the second for Team Life. And Naga won't have the ultimate online for the next 80 seconds or so. And that is going to mean that this next team fight, if they're caught out with Naga, the Nagasaran, then it's just going to be super scary, to say the least. So, Jo, with the Satanic, means he's essentially immortal. I think the problem is for Jo is that the other team dies too quickly for him to actually use Satanic. Rana has an MKB. I mean, that's a bit of damage. But I can't help but think if they had a Pipe or a Mecha, they might not be in this game, but they'd be surviving these teamfights a bit longer. But that's the only thing about Witch Doctor. He doesn't care about Pipe, because that Death Ward is purely physical damage. And how often have you seen a Witch Doctor not get any points in Maledict by level 17? I like a team I was doing, they know that they have to fight outside the base, because if they lose the fight inside the base, then they lose the game. If they lose this fight outside the base, well, they'll probably lose 1 Rax for sure, but they might not lose the game outright. And will they spot out Fogged? Oof. Yep, Fog was seen. Fog should be dead. He can pop the Ghost if they're going to get the arrow. They will kill off Fogged. But Witch Doctor, even though he's scary, hardly the most important hero, as they're going to counter-initiate. Here comes Eclipse, just ripping through Crit and Ace. Link forced to use his time-lapse, and now he's going to have to get the heck out of there. Nightmare going to be dropped onto Faye. Meanwhile, Fear is going to get focused by Ciderin, but again, there's only so much a Clockwork can do. Jo is going to pick up an Ultra kill. Will he pick up a Rampage? No, he will not, as the Elder Titan could be more than happy to snatch up that kill. And this should be GG, because Weaver doesn't have Biok. He's dead for 80 seconds. And the only people that EG lost were their 2 supports.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So EG, in the end, I think it came down to the draft. I know I say that every game, but I don't know if it was necessarily Life having a bad draft. I think EG just has a really, really good draft. I think Life, what they had the problem was that they put too much attention on the first 2 picks. And either they had way too much respect for Universe's Darkseer, but giving away ET and then a Barret when you had a chance to snatch a Barretter just shouldn't happen. And why get Clockwork when you can get a Darkseer? As in memory of the Meld is the call by Fear. Did somebody go 0-20? 1 in 10 Nagasaran, 1 in 7 Well, I guess fear fed, so maybe that's why you said in memory of the milk. But yeah, I think EG just picked up a really strong lineup, and I think the drafting process, even though these picks are okay by Team Life, was just not good enough for Team Life. But we're gonna see in game two. But thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you all next time. Peace.